Hello everyone, welcome back to Learn Lounge with Raviteja Murabana, episode 15. In this episode, we'll be diving into the world of accounting with a very special guest joining us, Atit, who brings over 15 years of experience in the field. He's not only a seasoned professional, but also a member of Certified Chartered Accountant ACCA from London, UK. So without any further delay, let's welcome Atit. It's great having you on our show, Atit.
Hi, Ravi. Great to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for accepting the invite, Atit. So can you share a bit about your journey? How did you started? What motivated you to become an accountant?
Coming from an Indian family background, most of my family were basically from accounting and finance background. So it was kind of easy and safest bet for me to dive into accounting or finance background. So, I started my accountancy in 2004, but starting in accounting was mainly because my love for numbers, math, and analytical skills, which worked basically in my favor, and it naturally guided me towards a career in accounting. I always had, interest in technical, or I would say more computer and tech related stuff. And since I never had enough guidance from from any of the family member, I never decided to go towards that route. But nevertheless, I make it a point to stay updated with the latest tech trends and continue to engage in tech-related tasks in my current role as well. So I keep on updating myself from technical front, new technology in the market, upcoming, and what is going to evolve in the market as well.
Thanks for sharing that, Atit. And also, you have worked in UK, India, as well as Canada, right? So, are there any challenges that you faced when you came to Canada?
I would say from challenges perspective, it is always challenging to move from one country to the other. It is just equally challenging when you move from one city to another or one job to another. There is always a cultural difference, then there is always a market difference, especially if you are moving from one international country to another. There is always going to be a big cultural change as well as professional change because when you're working from working in a MNC, even though the culture might be the same, but again, there are always going to be people change and interpersonal personal skills are going to be different country-wise, region-wise, geography-wise. So that was one of the biggest change which I have seen and I have come across. I wouldn't say it was difficult to change to adjust in the Canadian market, but I would still say that if you are actually planning to move internationally, if you are capable enough or if you have enough interpersonal skill and communication skills, then it would make your transition much more easier.
Thanks for that, Atit. And also, in accounting, the numbers are quite important, as you said. So, why
Yeah.
is that? Like, why should have grip on the numbers and math?
I would say, like, when you say accounting, I would say it is not only accounting where the numbers are important. You
Mhm.
know that, numbers are important everywhere nowadays. We are talking about everything is measured in numbers. We also not only in accounting, in finance, even when you talk about engineering, we take any field. Numbers are equally important in every field. When you talk about finance, I would say numbers are basically a measurement, not only from finance perspective, but it is very important aspect. Whenever we talk about the numbers, it basically helps you to understand where you are standing or where the company is standing. And that is one of the major reason why numbers are very important.
That, Atit. And also, like, apart from these numbers, like, as you mentioned, like, what are some other core skills which are required for someone to become a successful chartered accountant?
So I would say accountancy and finance background is something which always require very all different sets of skills. So I would say one is commercial and market awareness. A strong commercial sense basically helps the chartered accountant to understand the business environment as well as and what the organization needs are going to be. This awareness helps in comprehending the various sector of business competition and the associated challenges as well. So that is something which, from the commercial and market perspective, also the analytical skill is something which is very important. Any accountant would ideally need analytical skills to grow, to move forward in the profession. Even for any rational or accurate judgment about the data and numbers, also, if you don't have the appropriate accounting skills or number crunching skills, it's going to be very challenging to survive and move forward in the career as well. This includes the ability to analyze and assess the crucial facts to provide better financial advice. And at the end of the day, if your advice is going to be not measured in numbers, it's going to be difficult for client or even your manager to basically understand what you're trying to explain. Another, which is very important as we discuss soft skills and interpersonal skills, is something which is very important. It basically helps in effective communication, oral and written both, which basically helps to explain and understand client as well as the team member that you're working with. This includes the ability to explain complex financial information clearly and concisely. Strong interpersonal skills are equally crucial for effective communication, communicating ideas and expectation, understanding the expectation of others, and working as part of the team. Sometimes, if you don't have the interpersonal skills, it is a little bit challenging to express yourself to the client or even to your team members or your partner or I would say stakeholders. And most important part is something which is management skill. Like many people believe that the management skills are primarily required for the business, but in today's world, I personally feel that management skills are essential across all profession. For accountants, the skills can be particularly beneficial not only in their professional role, but also in helping them successfully create a good impression, successfully managing the team, successfully managing the business that they are operating. And I would say it is also very important for most of the students to actually grow and they can utilize the skills to clear the exams as well.
And as you said, soft skills, I think it's very important when you come from different country.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to speak and how to communicate with different people, then you're gonna face difficulties. So I totally agree with the soft skills. And even marketing knowledge should also be there, maybe to create like accurate budgets or financial forecasts, right? So that they can align with those marketing goals and budgets as well.
Yeah, 100%. Not only from the budget perspective as well, because when you're working as an accountant, now most of the accountants are not only working from the accounting perspective, they are more involved in the finance side as well. So if you don't have the market knowledge, then certainly that is going to impact the business on a large scale. Hypothetically, say for example, if you're working in an industry, considering the inflation and all those things, you have to consider the market as well. We know currently in Canadian market, interest rates are a pretty important factor. Nobody
Mhm.
had anticipated that something like this is going to happen. Economists basically predict something, but that is not something that always happens.
Mhm.
So economists can actually predict something, they can come up with the idea, but those ideas will be put in terms of numbers, and to express or explain those numbers would be accountant's job. And that is where accountant's role is very, very important because they make those numbers talk and they basically let the number present themselves. So budget, finance, I would say any kind of analytical stuff as well. Those kind of things are very important for any accountant, and not only accountant, I would say as an investor also, if you do not have those projections, budgets, and all those kind of stuff, then certainly as an investor, you're not going to invest in the company. So that is where a lot of interpersonal skills also comes into picture when you are presenting the numbers to investors or the stakeholders. So those kind of stuff I would say are very, very important. And I still feel that a lot of people think that accounting is just doing the number crunching and that's it. The good accountant would not only do the number crunching, but they will also let the numbers talk to people as well. So those kind of things are something which is very important.
I totally agree. And how do you think, these roles and responsibilities of accountants have evolved over the last decade?
Uh, I would say like this particular thing, roles and responsibilities of the accountant has not only last decade, but I would say it has changed significantly in last uh, eight, yeah, I would say eight, 8 to 10 years. So yeah, decade, 100%. I believe I'm just getting older. So when I started my career in 2008, most important skills used to be the technical skill, and you had to be hardworking as well as smart as well. But in last 10 years, things have changed so significantly that you have to be hardworking, you have to be smart, you have to be uh, like, you know, not only do the regular stuff, but you have to go over and beyond. So you need to possess soft skills, technical knowledge, presentation skills, marketing acumen, and other role-specific requirements as well. Now, today, accountant's role encompasses not just execution, but also interacting with the stakeholders, execution, marketing, delegating, managing, presenting. All those things basically comes at a different level, but they all are very important for one to be a successful accountant. So you would require all those different skill sets at a different level. But I would say if you want to grow, then all those skills are very, very important in the market.
True, I agree. Even, like back then, if you consider maybe 6 years back, for example, even in IT, if you want to go into developing, you should only know one language. That should be fine. But
Yeah,
right now, they are asking you like ten languages, but they're not using it. But they need to have an idea about it. I think same goes with accounting as well.
100%, 100%. Like as I said, not only earlier it used to be that if you are technically sound, that used to be sufficient enough. But nowadays, you have to be technically sound. You have to be smart enough to explain those technical stuff to layman, normal people in layman's language as well. Plus, you also need to go and do the marketing because once you become the manager or senior manager or director or partner of a firm, then a part of your roles and responsibilities is going to be go out in the market, bring the client. So those kind of things would require the networking skills, communication skills, then I would say presentation skills. So those kind of things are also going to be very important. So as you grow in your role as an accountant, then either you learn or you stay at the same level for long period of time. So that is very important currently.
Yeah, true. Even like if you compare like today's job market, like it's very tough compared to before. Even there is a lot of competition. So if you don't know these skills, then you are stuck where you are.
100%. 100%. Like in today's job market, so I would say currently international job market is struggling in most of the countries, even though we might say that India is doing fine. But I know a lot of people in India as well who are struggling to get a job at a right level.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of different skills that are required at a different role. As a manager, they need you to manage a staff. You need to have the technical knowledge. You need to have those kind of interpersonal skills, which would help them to grow where they don't have to train you, but you will be ready-made good package where you can just start from day one and they just let you lead the team and finish up the things on your own. They will come in between or they will involve themselves whenever you require them. But if you basically go and keep on asking questions, it doesn't look good on you as well. So they need someone who can actually tackle the whole situation and clear everything smoothly. So that is where that's why I say that there are so many different skill sets that is required nowadays. And international job market, all the companies are looking for the same sets of standards, especially North American companies, even though like we are moving towards the market where most of the people are not working only 9 to 5. Most of the people are going beyond because they want to prove themselves in the market that they are doing better. And in doing so, they have to put more hours, they have to work harder, they have to work long hours. And that is one of the reason why I feel that most of the people who has experience, they are also putting more hours, and that is basically making the new starters more and more difficult to get into the job market. Even we see currently that the jobs are there, like the company could not fill in because their expectation level is so high. The bar has been set so high that some people, even though they apply, they get the offer, but they don't want to start because once they know that the responsibility and everything is going to be so high, they don't want to get into that, and they just basically step out at the last minute.
I've seen the situations, even I have listened from of my friends. So back to the accounting. So is there any different career paths that accountants can choose?
So I would say there are so many different paths in accounting that it is not only about the accounting debits and credits part. Accountants basically, in public accounting, there are basically different fields. So on a macro level, most of the public accounting, like I would say the big corporations, top 10 or top 20 accounting firms, they would mainly have three verticals. One is consulting, one is tax, and the third one is the accounting and assurance, or like they call it accounting and auditing. So consulting has like, again, so many sub levels. Like there is advisory, there is risk management, there is in Canada we have a shred, then we have financial analysis, a financial advisory. Then I come to tax. In tax also there are verticals like a domestic tax, international tax, indirect tax. Then international tax also has sub vertical like a transfer pricing, who people do only transfer pricing. Then there is international tax. Then domestic tax also has like, most of the people are actually in domestic tax would do like a reorganization, restructuring of the company and the tax impact of the restructuring and everything, as well as the local compliance part. Then if I come to indirect tax, again, advisory and compliance part is going to be there. And when I come to accounting and assurance, it is mainly auditing, assurance part, then doing the accounting, compliance, advisory, how to prepare, how to basically record all the transactions and everything. So those are the different like fee verticals of most of the public accounting firms. Most of the accountants are also nowadays going and choosing a path of finance. So financial industry is also something where you will find a lot of CPAs or chartered accountants who go in
Mhm.
and work there. Mainly, they would be working as a like credit adjudicator officer, or they would make their career in credit or internal audit, something like that. And there are also various job openings in the industry as well, where you can go and apply, and you can actually make your career in those industries as well.
Thanks for sharing that, Atit. And also, you mentioned about accounting and finance, right? So, if you want to give like a short description, what is the difference between these two? Like what is accounting and finance?
So finance in the market currently, finance is more towards like, handling your finances,
Mhm.
like investment, what is like mainly I would say the finance industry is the banking industry, while the accounting industries are more of a compliance part where you have to comply with the tax returns, you have to comply with the financials, auditing standards, and those kind of stuff. So accounting is more about debit, credit, and compliance, complying with the local regulations, while finance is more about your regular finances, stock market, and those kind of things. Again, as I said, both are different, but they both are interrelated as well.
Mhm.
So a lot of professionals are jumping the ship from accounting to finance. And I have seen that a lot of finance people also like, change career and they move to accounting.
And also, like for example, if you talk about entry level jobs, which role should he select according to you in a career path?
So it's a very subjective thing, but I would say to start with, to have an understanding of accounts and finance, it would make sense that you understand the double entry, like,
Mhm.
debits and credits of everything. That particular thing would like, it would be part of your bachelor's qualification or your regular, I would say, regular education as well. But to have that practical experience in the practical world is very important. So if you actually start as a co-op in a particular firm, then your base would be very strong because then you will understand what kind of things you need to do, what kind of challenges you will see in the practical world. And then after completing your co-op term, you can decide which particular path you want to go for. Some people like the tax because of its complexity, the interpretation of the tax regulations and the law, as well as some people like the auditing part where you work on one client for a longer period of time. Some people think that, okay, this two things are not my cup of tea. I want to actually go and explore my career in finance, or I want to actually do some kind of advisory where I like, I will be faced a lot of different challenges and it will be very competitive in the market as well. So they actually go with the advisory work and consulting work
Mhm.
where it's going to be very like, tough market. So if you start with the accounting, your base would be very strong and that would actually help you to grow. And that might actually give you some kind of idea where you want to like, make your career going forward as well.
Yeah, and also you mentioned about co-ops, right? But usually coming to co-ops, like if they have studied in Canada or like any other international country, they'll be having an option. For example, if there is any person who is coming from like directly for the job perspective, so how can he start searching the jobs and like what suggestions that you have? Because if he have like usually they'll be not having the co-op, right? And it will be like very difficult for them to get into the market.
Yeah. So, like, this is something which I believe most of the immigrants would be facing. And this question is relevant to any person who is new to Canada or to any other country. So, I would say first thing is always to do your homework before you move to Canada or any other country, because most of the people actually move to they just see the a rosy picture of a country and they decide to move. But that is something which ideally you should not be doing. You have to do your homework. You have to get in touch with different people in that geography. Or if you're working in a big corporation, your friends and family, anybody who basically knows more about that market than you do, you need to go and get in touch with them because you have to understand the market before you actually decide to move. If you make rash decision of moving and figuring it out after moving, then it is going to be very challenging. A lot of people just move here and they decide to apply for jobs. They think that there are so many different jobs which are available. I will go and apply and I'll get the job. So it is not that easy. First thing is most important, the background of doing your background check and facts and everything to be very, very important. Because if you don't have your facts right about the country, about the field you want to get in, it's going to be very challenging for you to survive. Second is the networking skills. You need to build up the network. You need to start discussing with a lot of different professionals, and you go out in the social network and try to discuss and talk to people, get some idea about the market. Everyone will have a different opinion. Everyone will have a different experience. You need to basically make out what particular thing is going to be important for you, and then appropriately take the decision. For me, it might be very easy to say that, okay, I came here, I got a job within 4 to 5 months, and then I basically started my career. But there might be some people whom I know that basically struggled for nearly 1 or 2 years before they got the job in in the same field. In the same field, I would say in the accounting itself. So there are so many different people who have different experiences. So I wouldn't say that you should only believe 1 or 2 stories. You should do your homework, ask people, do the networking, and the third most important thing is you have to be more clear where you want to go. If you want to make your career in accounting, just do the homework of what I need to do, which particular local qualification I need to obtain, or the certification I need to gain. So if you are moving to Canada and if you want to be in finance, don't do CPA. Go with the CFA or do some financial courses that will help you to get into the financial industry. By doing CPA, you would get entry into into accounting firm, and then from accounting firm to move to finance or to financial industry or to banking, it's going to be a little bit challenging and it would be time consuming for you as well. Instead of that, if you actually do your homework and if you know that you will have to do CFA or you need to do some financial certification, that will help you and will save your time. And then you know what you have to do to move forward, and that will save a lot of money, energy, and time for you, and that will get you into the market pretty easily. Like getting a job is something which is, I would say, it is going to be up to you, how confident you are, how good your interpersonal communication skills are, your soft skills are, and accordingly, I will see, they will evaluate, and they will forward the resume to the next level. But if your soft skills, interpersonal skills, your communication skills are not that good, then certainly to clear the HR round is going to be very difficult. So those kind of things are very important. So there are a lot of things I would say, but still feel that the most important part is to do the homework before you move or before you decide where you want to go.
Yeah, even I think you mentioned about networking, right? So there are a lot of events where people can go and meet, and one of the platform is LinkedIn. So you can
Yeah.
directly reach out in LinkedIn and talk to them, show your experiences. So is there any specific events only for accountants?
So for accountants, there are no specific events that happens,
Hmm.
but I would say there are so many different groups on LinkedIn, like CPA in Ontario, CPA. So if you are which particular geography you're moving into, if you're moving to Ontario, there are lots of different groups, CPA in Ontario. There are student groups, there are member groups. Then if you're moving to some other province, all the province would have accordingly, same sets of groups, and you can actually explore those groups. You can put your comment there. You can see whether somebody responds or not. You can also Google them. Nowadays, I've also seen that a lot of people actually creates a group on Reddit. That is something which is a new thing. That is not, I would say, 100% professional, but I would still say that helpful to actually put some kind of post everywhere. Because when you
Mhm.
are exploring, when you are creating a network, I wouldn't say just restrict yourself only to LinkedIn or to one or two professional sites. Just try to go and search around and see wherever you can actually go and find some information. So nowadays, with the help of AI, you can actually search a lot of different things based on the criteria and the questions that you ask.
Yeah, true. And how accountants to keep update themselves? Is there any platforms?
So there are so many various platforms as I discussed, like LinkedIn, that Reddit, or any professional sites that you can actually go and double check. The best option for any professional person would be to reach out to the local professional body. Like for me, it is going to be the CPA Canada. They actually introduce a lot of different courses, a lot of different, I would say, certification courses over and above the regular PD. The professional development is part of our, like, as a part of our profession. But at the same time, if someone wants to specialize in something new, they have the certification courses over and above that. So like they had a certification course in fraud management, or risk management, or AI, impact of AI on accounting profession. So those kind of certification courses could actually help you to understand about the new thing and gain more knowledge.
Mhm.
So I would say those kind of bodies would actually give you better platform to get some idea on what can be done.
So sharing that with it, and also like what are some of the most recognized accounting certifications, and how do they differ from one another?
So if you would ask me personally, wherever you want to, whichever country you are in, if you are in India, ICAI, that is Indian Chartered Accountancy, then if you are in UK, ACCA and ICAI, ICAWAI, then if you are in US CPA, if you're in Canada, Canadian CPA, because any country that you go into, they will recognize their local professional designation first. So that would be the important thing, that anybody who wants to move to a different country, that would actually help them. Like if someone is moving from India to US, for them, Indian ICAI would definitely be good. But at the same time, if you want to be in US CPA qualification or designation would be required to grow. Based on my personal experience, ACCA, I'm not saying this because I'm ACCA. ACCAs, they have I think MOU with more than 160 countries or 190
Mhm.
countries, if I'm not mistaken, where it is mainly recognized in most of the countries. And it would, if they don't recognize the qualification, they would have some kind of MOU where you will get some kind of exemption in getting or obtaining the local qualification. So at least if you are in your home country, if you want to do something, ACCA would certainly be a good option for you.
So like one of the option is like doing the local certification, and if you want to have the international certification, maybe ACCA is one of the best option according to you, right?
Yes, so I would give you an example. ACCA, I had a friend who actually was in UK. He moved to, so he was actually from Singapore. So Singapore recognizes ACCA.
Mhm.
Now, after completing the ACCA from UK, he moved back to Singapore. But then he decided to change the country. He thought that he wanted to move to some other country for the good family life and everything. So he moved to Saudi. Now, Saudi also recognizes ACCA, and they have MOU with the local accountancy body as well.
Mhm.
So he moved to Saudi on this, and he didn't do any local accountancy or local qualification. And he got a job before he even moved there. So it helped him to get into the market. And plus, his experience and the qualification was recognized in Saudi as well. ACCA is also recognized in like Canada, in UK, in most of the Europe, in Australia and New Zealand as well, in Japan, Singapore. So I say that ACCA is widely recognized.
Mhm.
Again, considering current situation with social media and everything to your fingertip, anybody can get some knowledge about that. But I feel that ACCA is widely recognized in the professional community in most part of the world.
Think that it is. And how about US CPA designation? Like, is it recognized in Canada?
USCPA is certainly recognized in Canada. That now, if a person has a USCPA, Now, which particular field he wants to go into, that is also something which is very important. If somebody wants to make a career in accounting and assurance, then yes, that US CPA would be good enough or sufficient enough to get into the market. They will, firms would recognize, Big Fours or Big Ten firms will recognize, and they will hire you. And your experience will also be considered. But if you want to go into tax, then certainly it is going to be a little bit challenging because
Mhm.
they will ask for the local tax knowledge. At
Oh,
the same time, if you want to grow in the local market, if you want to climb up the ladder, if you want to be a partner, any firm or company would basically ask you to do the local accountancy course as well. So even if you move from US, you had US CPA and you move to Canada, you basically will be able to get into the market and you will be even you'll be earning good as well. But if you want to grow and become a partner, or if you want to move to a different industry, then if you have a local chartered accountancy qualification, that will certainly help.
got it. And like, is there any MOU between ACCA and US CPA? And how can these ACCA professionals leverage their knowledge when preparing for
I would say ACCA and US CPA, currently they don't have any existing MOU. But I guess if you are a CPA student or if you have completed CPA, not student, but if you have cleared CPA, you haven't completed the required hours to get the membership of CPA, then you
Mhm.
get 9 paper of ACCA exempt, based on my understanding. But I feel that your website would have like detailed description about this MOU, if there is any.
Mhm.
And ACCA, like I would say, if anybody wants to do ACCA or if anybody wants to do CPA, it would be best to reach out to the body directly and ask
Mhm.
questions. Most of the chartered accountancy body are they are very quick in responding and they would basically guide you properly and direct you towards which particular part they need to do, what they need to do, and how they can do it.
And like, is there any free and paid resources as well as best platforms for practicing the mock exams for ACC?
So for ACCA, I feel like I'm not into the teaching profession since since last 8 years or so. But I would say when I used to study and I used to teach, Kaplan was one of the I would say one of the best material that I have come across. There are a lot of different materials like BPP, then London School of Business also has their qualification. I feel that ACCA website would have those kind of details. Kaplan has pretty good exhaustive material for each paper, and you can actually double check that. ACCA website would give you more ideas on the resources where you can find this material. I don't think that if there are any free websites available or material which you might be able to find online, but Kaplan and ACCA website would give you the best answer, I would say.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Atit. And also, you mentioned about Captain Light. So, is it only for ACCA specific, or we can also learn, USCPA? Or
I don't think so because each CPA qualification or the local body would have their partnership with the publications, like a local partnership publications. So for US CPA, you can check on the US CPA website which particular books are recognized and which would be good material. Same with the Canadian CPA, they will also guide you. I feel that it would be very difficult for one particular publisher to be into to have an agreement with a lot of different qualifications or different chartered accountancy body across the world. But the local website would give them better answer.
and also, how about inflation? Like, inflation has affected financial planning and businesses and individuals. So, how do you think it has been affected?
I think we can like this particular topic can go on for we can go on forever. So since I would say inflation is something which is very concerning to all the aspect, like whether you consider it personally, professionally, business wise, in all aspect. So
Mhm.
if I say from the business perspective, inflation certainly has made most of the businesses very concerned. For business, rising inflation rates have increased operating cost and borrowing expenses, making it more challenging to invest in growth and development of the company. For them, it's going to be very difficult if the price of everything is going up. companies are also now focusing on strategic initiative to mitigate this effect, such as reassessing their capital structure, restructuring the balance sheet. Additionally, I believe inflation has led to higher interest rates. Currently, we see in the Canadian market across the globe, most of the countries are facing that issue, which has further complicated, financial planning for most of the corporation. And this directly impacts the borrowing cost because if the interest rate is going high, it is going up, the borrowing cost is going to go up with that. And that is going to increase the expenses for the company. So it is going to be very challenging for company to go out and borrow. Again, when we talk about inflation from individual perspective, I would say like you and me, certainly it has a day-to-day impact that we have seen in most of the individuals' life. Inflation, most of us, we got affected by, in the financial planning because of the cost of living has gone up significantly. We have seen that, I moved to Canada in 2019. Until 2020, I would say the inflation was not that high. So most of the family were okay if if they were earning 50, $60,000, they could survive. But in current market, if you're earning 50, 60,000, it might not be sufficient enough for a family of two or three. So that is something which has inflation has made very difficult for people to even meet their regular requirements. Then this includes higher prices for goods and services, which can strain the household budget. 100%. Everybody can agree on that. People are now more focused on adjusting their financial plans to account for this rising cost, including retirement planning, investment income, income after retirement, then how to strategize the future or how they can invest now so that they will get more money in the future. Now, I have also seen some people had decided to retire in 2022, 2023, where because of the inflation, they had to actually work for a few more years to fill the gap because of the inflation that has actually created in their budget. Personally, a lot of people are facing challenges, and we have seen that house prices are also significantly, they had gone up significantly. And now, even though they have come down because of the high inflation and the high interest rate, still people could not afford the houses. So those kind of things are actually impacting the overall market. So I feel that inflation is something which directly or indirectly is impacting everybody's life.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And do you think it will be better in the future or worse? What do you think about it?
So that is something which I guess not even Justin Trudeau or any one person could predict something something like this, that what is going to happen, because based on my understanding and my research, in last 50 years there were only 2 years where the variable mortgage rate was unfavorable compared to fixed rate,
Mm-hmm.
but before 2019, but in because of the pandemic and the inflation, there were 2 more years that we have seen in last 5 years. So those kind of things are very difficult, predict. But again, most of the trends, the economic trends that we see, most of the time, whenever the inflation has gone up, it will eventually come down. It will be steady for a few years, and then it will again slowly and gradually will go up. Again, there are a lot of different factors which are associated to this, lot of geopolitical impact that could actually change this particular, that could have an impact on this particular thing as well. Current war in Middle East and Russia, Ukraine, that has that has also changed a lot of things in the market. So I would say that considering if everything goes smoothly, we would have within a year or two, we would have a little bit of stable economy. But again, it is something that I cannot predict after that.
Okay, thanks for sharing that, Adit. And we are in the end of the podcast. Do you have any suggestions or life lessons that you would like to share with the audience?
I feel that most of the people today are they are not patient enough. My father used to tell me that we our generation or my generation is not patient enough. But when I see today's generation, I feel that I am more patient than them. But I feel that life is what you make out of it. That comes to you in life is going to be easy. But most important thing is that as long as you are persistent and you are ready to give everything, things are gonna come to you. but you just gotta basically be focused. You just work hard and do your part, and things are gonna come to your way. So just like it's a karma, just do your stuff. Everything is gonna come eventually to you.
Thanks for sharing that, Adit, and thank you very much for your time. And this is the end of the podcast. Thanks,
I
Adit.
appreciate it, Ravi. Thanks, Ravi.
So I'll be